welcome to SVG-TV News on Monday, January 27th, 2020. I'm Yvesta Boynes with the details. Drilling on the 3 wells of the geothermal plant at the Bamboo Range has been completed, all with low permeability. This was noted by Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves in response to a question posed by opposition MP Daniel Cummings, who was seeking an update on the project. PM Gonsalves told Parliament it was decided that further stimulations to all 3 wells will be carried out simultaneously.
Provided by the technical persons that all the results in relation to the permeability have not gone favorably due to the very tight fractures which have limited the permeability. The tested temperatures on the wells were adequate for geothermal power. The technical team will exhaust all options of well stimulations in an effort to open these fractures on the 3 wells.
Drilling on the last well was completed on January 15th, 2020 at a depth of approximately 2,900 meters and reportedly had the highest temperature of all 3 wells.
Despite intensive stimulation on wellhead, pressure and airlifting, very little permeability has been measured. The well cost $5.62 million US, including stimulation. Results: the well has shown the highest temperature measured at 230 degrees Celsius and calculated to about 250 degrees. Planned action: continued stimulation with increased pressure.
PM Gonsalves said based on the technical experts' conclusion, they remain optimistic that geothermal energy can still be realized.
Indicate that among the technical team, they are optimistic that following the successful stimulation results of SVG well 03, that they're hopeful that the others would be similar, and in addition strengthening the stimulation in 03.
2 students of the Division of Nursing Education and 2 from the Division of Arts, Science and General Studies will represent this country at the Windward Islands debating competition on March 5th in Dominica. Casey De Freitas, Haronese Collins, Zachary Richards and Dini Geliso will compete against students from the Sir Arthur Lewis College St. Lucia, the T.A. Marichal College Grenada and the Dominica State College. On Friday, the students of the SVG Community College debated the topic: the use of medicinal cannabis is in danger of being used as another ploy by the pharmaceutical industry. The students representing the Division of Nursing Education supported the statement. Here is a snippet of their presentation.
Most important to regulate the use of drugs, pharmaceutical companies do indeed end up benefiting from the regulation. Moreover, the cultivation license, which is the license issued to allow for the growing, harvesting, drying, trimming, and curling or packaging of medical cannabis for 5 to 25 acres costs $225,000. License fee with an additional $1,000 for application fees and renewed every 3 years. Furthermore, after purchasing the license, one then must secure the property with cameras and human personnel to protect the farms, which would further increase the cost and limitations such as being able to provide electricity to the farms, which are typically considered distance away from the road. These vital regulations act as an advantage to large international pharmaceutical companies who already possess the ability to make large investments and benefit from economies of scale.
The men who we know of and who was spoken about by our opponents have stated that cannabis can be used to cure diseases such as glaucoma, asthma, and other conditions. However, the research is clear that cannabis cannot in any way treat glaucoma. Its use in treating asthma the research has said that it is inconclusive, and so have other conditions been inconclusive. This clearly illustrates that cannabis is indeed being This clearly means that cannabis is being over-advertised by the pharmaceutical industry, and that an environment exists where a lot of propaganda is being spread, allowing for the drug to be overemphasized or over-marketed on the conditions that it can treat.
The representatives of the Division of Arts, Science and General Studies shared an opposing view. Here is a snippet of their presentation.
From the stated definition given by Mr. Bosenhad, 3 words should remain in your conscience: cure, vaccinate, and alleviate. These are the main goals of the pharmaceutical industry when manufacturing education. I mean, who doesn't want a drug that will cure whatever they are suffering from, exactly as stated by the doctor or the pharmacy? Give credit where credit is due. Do not try to denigrate the same industry that has solely dedicated their time towards research and development, some of which are the reasons why we can stand here alive and well this afternoon. Therefore, the answer to my stated question is a yes, and the pharmaceutical industry is only fulfilling its main aim and purpose. Therefore, it will be irrational to consider medical cannabis to be in danger of another ploy if the industry itself is only carrying out the necessary options in order to cure, vaccinate, and alleviate.
Most of us at some point have seen a medical advertisement for depression on TV, for an antidepressant, on TV, YouTube, or some other media. When antidepressants are presented, at no point is the effect of the drug on the user exaggerated. This advertisement briefly outlines both negatives and positives of the drug in question. They state that this drug may relieve the user of depression, increasing their overall happiness in life. However, it also states that it may potentially cause erratic behaviors, severe mood swings, increased suicidal thoughts or actions, and sometimes even death. After hearing an advertisement presenting a drug with such risks, we ask ourselves, why would I even consider buying something that increases the complications it's trying to cure? This just goes to highlight the truthfulness of these advertisements. It showcases the boldness and the transparency of the industry to present these harmful effects, even if it may damage sales.
The Richmond Vale Academy is on board with a new Erasmus project, offering an opportunity to youth connected to the institution to travel to Fiji, Thailand and Italy to represent St. Vincent and the Grenadines in efforts to protect the ocean and stop pollution. The STOP project is funded by the European Union and will see young persons from Fiji, Thailand and Italy visit the Richmond Vale for a training course, while young persons from SVG will visit these countries for similar activities. Director at the Richmond Vale Academy, Steiner Herberg, said the participants will be those involved with the academy and who has a passion for the environment.
So from Richmond Vale Academy, we are going to participate in conference in Thailand and in Fiji, and one person also gets to go to a capacity training in Italy. And the people who are we will specifically select among younger people working with or are connected to Richmond Vale Academy. And these are younger people who are passionate about the environment and have actually showed, some real concrete action skills. We're not looking for specific requirements in terms of education. We are looking for passion and drive. So these youth will either be people who are currently employed at the academy as teachers, as people who are working in the organic garden, or are connected to the home garden movement and have been very active in changing from chemical to ecological farming.
Herberg said the trip will give the participants the opportunity to learn what is being done in the selected countries to protect the environment, as well as to be an ambassador for SVG.
Gain a lot of different experiences, because one thing, traveling to other cultures and learning from other people opens your mind to seeing the world as one, and how it is that we are so different, but anyway, we are so similar, and how can we work together to protect this planet better, and we must do that better than today. So you will learn to connect with other people. You will learn about what other people are doing to reduce plastic pollution and creating more sustainable states where they are. And you will also be able to be an ambassador for St. Vincent to show and focus on the good examples that's coming out of St. Vincent. Of course, we have a long way to go in St. Vincent to become a sustainable island, but we are making steps every year. Banning styrofoam, banning single-use of plastics, producing more of our own food, which reduces packaging, and so on. So I think that the youth who go on these specific, very exciting conferences will come out having more courage and strength to make the next steps to make St. Vincent more sustainable.
The Richmond Vale Academy director said while SVG has been making strides, more work still needs to be done to protect the environment and the ocean space.
Continue with campaigns. There are many community groups in St. Vincent who do cleanups. Many are going towards more sustainable farming methods. So it's on the move. But I would like to see the government do even more bans so that we can reduce the amount of pollution. And there are different ways. I know the government is working on some, but we just need to do more, and we need to do it faster. I definitely think so, because I see a lot of changes already, just living here for 13 years, and I see it around the world that many people are waking up saying we must change our consumption patterns and our pollution patterns. It's actually quite simple. If you like snorkeling or diving, try to come and do that in North Leeward, and afterwards go to the Indian Bay and snorkel there. It's very clear to see the pollution from land kills the reefs, while here in North Leeward there are less pollution and the reefs are thriving. They are actually incredibly beautiful, the reefs in North Leeward. So it's very clear to see pollution from the land kills the life in the sea.
The devastating effects of climate change in the Salt Whistle Bay area of Miro in the southern Grenadines was one of the issues which prompted much discussion during the debate in Parliament on 2020 budget estimates. Member of Parliament for the Southern Grenadines, Terence Oliver, called for urgent measures to be put in place to deal with the situation. Minister of Finance Camila Gonzalez said the government is looking for a solution which will not compromise the beauty of the area.
There are lots of people in Miro who depend on this area for their livelihood, because you have the Salt Whistle Bay Resort itself, you have the boat boys, everybody, the t-shirt vendors, you have lots of business over there. People also from Union Island, Canoan, go there. It's a prime anchorage spot for yachtsmen and women from all over the world. I know that certain time of the year, the Trini boats and they like joke. And you wanted to know something, you go over there, you want to know if you're in Trinidad and Tobago. People come there, Mr. Speaker. It's a prime spot, and we need to save it. I know there are measures here, but we need to do something within the short term to make sure that the erosion doesn't take place.
Condition of Salt Whistle Bay, I appreciate the urgency. We have discussed this privately. You have asked me questions on this. The $300,000 in there is to make sure that we get it right. It doesn't mean that there won't be temporary measures. As a matter of fact, I was a little surprised to hear another member of your side saying it's no time to study, it's time to do the thing now. Because when I answered your question just a few short months ago on Salt Whistle Bay with the proposal of the conch shells, that same member who said there's no time to design pulled me aside and said, you sure you want to go with conch shells? You should consider driving piles. You should have a design with piles. And I said, I will take it back to the engineers. The engineer said, yes, piles are good, but they're going to be unattractive given the location. The same issue with stones. We don't want to put a whole set of big stone along there. Temporarily, sure, but we're trying to find a permanent solution that doesn't uglify the most beautiful beach in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves said as part of the development of the diamond community, a good quality community center will be built somewhere near to the diamond athletic track. Prime Minister Gonsalves spoke on this and other projects for the community at Friday's groundbreaking ceremony of the athletic track.
Here in Diamond, we're going to have this track. As you know, we're going to have a $10 million Holiday Inn Express, 92 rooms, just up here. That is going to be starting sometime in the next 10 weeks or so. We have a restaurant. We have a National Properties offices as a state-owned property company. We have a Center of Excellence involving information technology. We have a hospitality school. Those two buildings you see is the Center of Excellence and the hospitality school. There's a supermarket. And the Humble African is getting built not too far from here, a good quality community center.
Prime Minister Gonsalves also noted that in order to commence work on the athletic track, which will be of benefit to residents of the Diamond community and the entire country, the government had to fully compensate all persons who had informal settlements at the site.
We set up administratively a stadium committee. And this lady, Mrs. Williams Quo, she and her team went to every single household and told them what we were doing. She took photographs of every single house. And we said beyond this particular date, any structure which comes here would be moved without any compensation. And out of that money, we compensated everybody who had come here and constituting a loose, informal human settlement.
The Prime Minister said though the project was promised to the people of Diamond years ago, everything happens in God's timing. Tributes continue to pour in for former Governor General Sir Frederick Valentine, who passed away last Thursday at age 83. On Sunday, NBC Radio hosted a special tribute session for Sir Frederick, aptly titled A Nation in Mourning. President of Sir Optimist International SVG, Renee Batiste, reflected on her first encounter with Sir Frederick and how he has impacted her life.
On the morning, Good Friday, 13th of April, 1979, I drove to the hospital and said, "What can I do to help?" He said, "Come, you have the car? Go and take the nurses for me to this particular place, a school, pack it up with some supplies." He just liked to get things done. And our friendship continued, and then when I became minister, he was a champion of my many, many causes in culture, particularly music and poetry.
Sir Frederick was a man who wore many hats, including that of businessman. He was the proprietor of the Young Island Resort. Manager of the resort, Bianca Porter, said that she has known Sir Frederick all her life and has great respect for him.
Sir Frederick, he loved to swim, and he was an early riser. So he would come to Young Island at 5:30 in the morning to have his morning swim and walk before swimming. And when he would go to our restaurant to have breakfast, many guests would say to me later in the day, "Who is that distinguished man? We think he must be someone important. He just has that look about him." He never went around saying, "I'm the owner." He just exuded that aura that persons knew that he must be someone important. But I have to say as well, he was a humanitarian, a Renaissance man, a true patriot, keen about education and the development of young people, a perfectionist, especially when it came to service. He had high standards.
Sir Frederick's daughter Lauren McIntosh, who heads the World Pediatric Project, the WPP, here in SVG, said while her father was an all-rounder, his heart was about the health and well-being of the people of SVG. Similar sentiments were shared by a close family friend, Bernard Morgan.
December, the CEO of WPP, as well as 2 doctors from Stanford. They visited St. Vincent. They wanted to do some biomed tech in St. Vincent. And at that point, his health was declining. And I said, I'm not quite sure if he'll be able to meet with you. And he found the strength and he was able to sit with them. And I know my sister Melissa and I were worried that, maybe at this point in time, thank you, but he wanted to sit down and engage them and find out what can be done for St. Vincent and the Grenadines to improve our health care. And it's just indicative of the man that he was.
We got our medication and we journeyed back to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. That lady lived a wonderful, qualitative life for 5 years thereafter. And she was so grateful to the assistance we got from Sir Frederick. I never spoke about it before today. He also loved sports and made a significant contribution to sports in this country.
During the radio program, many persons called in to express their condolences and pay tribute to Sir Frederick, who will be laid to rest on Wednesday, which will be a half holiday for schools, statutory bodies and public sector workers, save and except those persons who work in essential services. President of the World Blind Union, Charles Massop, is urging parents not to limit their child who has a disability and not to be ashamed of their disability. Massop, who was in SVG last week to raise awareness on the rights of persons with disability, said every person should be allowed to reach their full potential.
For centuries, literally centuries, children born blind or partially sighted have been hidden away, and parents unfortunately have felt ashamed, as if somehow it's their fault. We're past that. We're long past that. We say to parents, bring your children forward, advocate for them, help them get the education which is their right, so that those children can rise and shine and lead.
Massop, who is visually impaired, said that he has been living with the disability for more than 50 years now and has lived a life to its fullest. One of the executive members of the Voice of the Disabled, Yolanda Grant, who is a parent of a visually impaired child, commended the body for advocating for persons in SVG and worldwide who are living with a disability. She encouraged more parents to come forward and get help for their children now that they are networking with international partners.
Advocating, that and having to educate the general public, especially our parents, that these children have their rights, and it's a level playing field for all. It's a level playing field for all. They can be trained, they can be educated, they can reach as far as university, get their degree, and get their masters, become what they want to be, what they are good at.
Daniel Chambers, a visually impaired person, is optimistic with the linkages made with the World Blind Union and sees himself benefiting from the partnership, especially from training programs.
Our space, we don't need handouts, we just need a hand up in society. So it's like, you have the adult education, and we haven't gotten our turn to go back into the class or to do computer training. Like an ordinary person, they can go out and get a job, but we have to, by some miracle, there are very few visually impaired persons who are hired or even trained for the job market. If you as a visually impaired person is working, you can count yourself lucky or count that as a blessing.